I rarely stay in one country for an extended period. It tends to become monotonous. I enjoy moving on, exploring new places, and meeting diverse people. Most of the time, this lifestyle is quite fulfilling. When I need money, I often pick fruit in Europe, where you can find work almost year-round, provided you're in the right country at the right time. While the work can be challenging, the pay is decent. During the winter, I prefer heading south, as life is much easier in the sun, especially since Northern Europe can be extremely cold. Last year, in October 1989, I found myself in Venice, where I worked at a hotel for 3 weeks before gradually making my way south. I always travel by train when possible. I enjoy the freedom of being able to walk around and meet various people. After leaving Venice, I headed to Trieste, where I purchased a cheap ticket for the slow train to Sofia, Bulgaria. This train journey traverses Yugoslavia and takes about a day and a half, but I didn't mind the duration. The train departed Trieste at 9 a.m. on a Thursday. Initially, there weren't many passengers, but as we reached Zagreb, more people boarded. 2 girls walked past my carriage, glancing in but not entering. Soon after, an elderly woman came in, sat down and fell asleep. The 2 girls returned and peeked into the carriage again. After about 10 minutes of gazing out the window, I too succumbed to sleep. When I awoke, the 2 girls were now in the carriage. They seemed friendly, so I greeted them. "Hi," they replied. "You're American?" I said. "Or Canadian?" "Right, American," the taller girl confirmed with a smile. "You're 23. Your name is Tom Walsh. You have blue eyes. And your mom lives in Burnham-on-Sea, UK. How did you know all that?" I asked, surprised. The second girl chuckled. "I looked at your passport. It's in your coat pocket." Realizing my coat was beside me, I retrieved my passport and put it back in my bag. "Who are you then?" I inquired. They introduced themselves as Melanie and Carol from Los Angeles, USA. They loved traveling around Europe and had visited many countries, including Britain, Holland, Denmark, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, and Greece. "I'm heading to Bulgaria," I mentioned. "I plan to stay for about a month. Then I'll go south for the winter. Maybe Cyprus or North Africa." "Oh yes," they replied. "We love Bulgaria. Sofia is a fantastic city. What do you do for money?" I explained that I sometimes took temporary jobs. "Come on, Tom," Melanie urged. "Tell us more about yourself. Tom Walsh with the blue eyes, and the mom in Burnham-on-Sea. What are you doing with your life?" I shared stories about my adventures, mixing in some truths and embellishments for fun. The girls laughed and said I was a great guy. Curious about Bulgaria, I asked them for insights since I was unfamiliar with the country. They were knowledgeable about Sofia and suggested, "Hey, Carol, let's stay in Bela Palanka for a day or 2. Then we can head to Sofia this weekend and meet Tom. We can meet him Saturday night at the Hotel Marmura," Carol added. "It's a good place, cheap but nice." I agreed enthusiastically. "Great, let's do that." The train moved slowly, and we arrived in Belgrade at 6 p.m. A lot of passengers disembarked, leaving just the 3 of us in the carriage. The train guard checked our tickets and then left. Carol suggested to Melanie, Why don't you and Tom go to the restaurant? I'm not hungry and want to sleep for a bit. I don't have much money right now. I'm planning to find a job in Sofia, I replied. Oh, Tom, Melanie said. You're a nice guy. We can cover your meal this week. Carol chimed in. In Sofia, we'll take you to the best restaurant in town. I was hungry and grateful for their offer. So Melanie and I went to the restaurant together. When we returned, Carol was still alone in the carriage. Melanie kicked off her shoes, propped her feet on the seat, and fell asleep. Soon after, a couple of older men entered our carriage and noticed Melanie's feet on the seat, speaking loudly in their native tongue. Carol laughed, waking Melanie, who sat up and asked, Are we nearly there? About half an hour, I think, Carol replied. Why are you getting off at Bella Palanca? I asked. What will you do there? Melanie smiled. Find a cheap hotel, meet some people, and explore the town for a day or two. Carol added, But there's not much to see. Well, you never know, Melanie laughed. See you in Sofia, right? Saturday night at the Hotel Marmura, 8 o'clock, Carol reminded me. Don't forget. Okay, great, I confirmed. As the train pulled into Bella Palanca, the two girls got off and waved goodbye. I thought to myself how nice they were, and how much fun I would have in Sofia. The train crossed into Bulgaria at 2 a.m., stopping briefly in a village whose name I couldn't recall. I had an apple and gazed out the window when suddenly a swarm of policemen boarded the train. Everyone in the carriage sat up, murmuring in confusion. I turned to the elderly man beside me and asked in Italian, What's happening? He replied in broken Italian, I don't know. Maybe they're looking for someone. I noticed police officers escorting some passengers off the train. Then two policemen entered our carriage, a tall, thin one and a short, stout one. They scrutinized each passenger before focusing on me. Come with us, please, the fat policeman instructed in English. What? Why? What's going on? I protested. Bring your bag with you, the tall officer added. I hesitated, but knowing that policemen generally don't appreciate questions from young men with long hair, I remained silent, grabbed my bag and followed them. Once in the station building, I saw many more policemen and some young passengers from the train. Some looked scared while others appeared bored. The police began searching everyone's bags and soon, my two officers led me to a table. Your passport, please, the fat policeman said, and open your bag. As I complied, I noticed a young policewoman with red hair at the next table. She had a pleasant face, so I smiled at her, and she smiled back. Suddenly the tall policeman exclaimed, What's this? As he dumped my clothes out onto the table. He turned my bag upside down, and to my shock, packets of US dollars spilled out, nice crisp $50 bills in large bundles. My jaw dropped and I was speechless. Suddenly, I became the center of attention, and several officers rushed to our table. 50,000? 100,000? 15,000? There's $200,000 here, the tall policeman declared. Finding my voice again, I quickly protested. But that's not my bag. His grin widened. Well, it has your name on it. Look. I glanced down and saw my name clearly written on it. Yes, it was indeed my bag. But I was baffled. How did $200,000 end up in my bag? You cannot bring US dollars into this country, the fat policeman stated, his expression serious. But I didn't bring them. I insisted. Those aren't my dollars. I've never seen them before. Amid the commotion in the station, I looked out the window and saw my train slowly beginning to move. Hey, that's my train, I shouted. The tall policeman chuckled, relishing the moment. Oh no, you're not getting back on that train. You're staying here with us in our beautiful country, he said, grinning. So I never made it to Sofia that Saturday, and I was quite disappointed. I had hoped to catch up with Melanie and Carol and ask them a few questions. See you in Sofia, Tom. We'll take you to the best restaurant in town, they had said. Unfortunately, I also missed my chance to visit Cyprus or North Africa that winter. Well, I suppose I live and learn. Life in prison isn't easy, but at least it's warm in winter. And the food isn't too bad. I've met some interesting people here, including a man named Boris from Georgia, USSR. He's from a place by the Black Sea and is a great guy. When we eventually get out of here, we plan to head to Australia, perhaps Brisbane or Sydney, to find work on a ship and start anew. Next year should be better.